What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, legendary promoter, iconic CEO and promoter of Top Rank, Bob Arum, has stated in a recent interview that according to the reports that were surfacing that a deal was done for his fighter, undefeated 3-division world champion, currently the WBO welterweight world champion and former junior welterweight undisputed world champion Terence Crawford, and former IBF welterweight world champion British superstar boxer Special K Kell Brook, was done. But contrary to that belief, Bob Arum is stating that it's close to being done. It's not done. So all of these reports that came out and surfaced that the fight was done, Bob Arum is saying that's not true. And so now Bob Arum is saying the reason why it hasn't come to fruition in its totality is due to the fact that there's no money coming from the UK, and ESPN, worldwide leader in sports, biggest sporting platform worldwide, is not willing to fit the bill completely for this fight. And they're completely not on board for Terence Crawford versus Kell Brook as a pay-per-view event. So they don't want to be the sole providers putting up all the money for this fight. Well, here's go to show you just how much and how worthy they believe in this fight. Just like many people were saying and stating that this is a mismatch in a lot of people's eyes. It's a huge name on paper for Terence Crawford, but most actual boxing knowledgeable pundits, fans, and journalists understand that this is a 70-30 fight in favor of Terence Crawford at the very least. Right? You had legendary promoter Lou DiBella just recently come out and say that he hasn't been excited about a Terence Crawford fight in years because Terence Crawford is just in mismatches. And he went on to say, are you kidding me? Kell Brook? Majority of the boxing world, people that know boxing, feel like and understand that that's a mismatch. This is what came from Lou DiBella, a promoter. And Sky Sports and BT Sports in the UK, who support guys with losses on their resume, like Derek Chisora, who has like 9-10 losses on his resume, like Ricky Burns, who has like 5-6 losses on his resume. The UK, United Kingdom, support the sport of boxing. Win, lose, or draw, they usually support their fighters. But BT Sports and Sky Sports are not willing to support Kell Brook and get behind Kell Brook versus Terence Crawford fight. One has to wonder why. And Bob Arum also goes on to state that not just Kell Brook and Terence Crawford, but they're also not getting behind, which is this one I don't understand because this is a big fight. Teofimo Lopez, who's the undefeated IBF lightweight world champion superstar boxer, and 3-division world champion, unified lightweight world champion, superstar boxer Vasil High-Tech Lomachenko. So Bob Arum is confused and upset that they would support fights like fighters like Derek Chisora and, he said, Usyk and, Ricky Burns, but they won't get behind these fights. So Bob Arum said, I don't understand what I'm missing here. But I'm confused why they don't want to support these fights. So Bob Arum said that the fight between Terence Crawford and Kell Brook is not a done deal. It hasn't gotten over the hurdle yet. And like I said, this may sound minor, but it's actually major. Because if this is going to be a pay-per-view event, how could they possibly get the funding for it if ESPN is not fully on board 1,000%, and they can't get a British boxing channels, the two biggest British boxing channels, which is the Showtime and HBO of the UK, BT Sports and Sky Sports, as far as it goes with the sport of boxing, to get on board. So here we go again with Terence Crawford being at a crossroads. once again. You don't see these issues rising when it comes to Errol Spence, Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, now Manny Pacquiao. You don't see these issues rising up and rearing its head with these guys, with these fighters. Danny Garcia. You're not hearing that Errol Spence, undefeated, unified WBC, IBF welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, and two-division world champion, former junior welterweight, unified world champion, and former WBC welterweight world champion, Danny Swift Garcia, are having issues with their pay-per-view event. That's a week after Terence Crawford and Kell Brook's fight. November 21st, Terence Crawford and Kell Brook is scheduled to take place November 14th. You don't hear these issues coming out of their camps, from their promoters and their networks. I wonder why. One has to wonder why. You don't hear this coming from them camps. You constantly hear that the offer is coming from Terence Crawford's side, which Terence Crawford trainer, manager, Brian McIntyre, stated that they couldn't pay Keith Thurman $10 million because that was too far-fetched. And that Keith Thurman couldn't get the money from Al Heyman, advisor and CEO, creator, originator of the PBC Premier Boxing Champions. Couldn't come up with the money because if they did, they would have backed up the Brinks truck with a boatload of money and a contract. But they can't do that because they don't have a promoter. But yet Terence Crawford has a promoter and has the biggest network, sporting network, worldwide. Not just in the United States, but this is worldwide. ESPN. That's why it's called the worldwide leader in sports. Behind Terence Crawford. So he has that promoter that Bomac said that Keith Thurman can't put up this money and come up with this money because they don't have a promoter. So Terence Crawford has the promoter. Arguably the greatest promoter in the history of the sport of boxing, in Bob Arum. Now one could, argue that it's Don King. Right? Lou DiBella is in the Hall of Fame. But Bob Arum is right up there with the best of them. So he has one of the greatest promoters in the history of the sport of boxing. And he has the biggest network and platform in sports behind him. But yet they're finding it very difficult to come up with money to pay fighters and money to stage events. So here lies the problem, where you hear the boxing fans, pundits, media that say that Terence Crawford may have made a mistake by re-signing there at this stage in his career, because now he's 33 years of age. He's widely considered the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, but heavy is the head that bears the crown, like I've been telling you guys. So yet, once again, initial offer to Kell Brook was $1.5 million, which most people felt like it was a low offer to a guy of the caliber, namesake of a Kell Brook. He's not any longer physically seen as the same commodity as he once was. But now, he's still a namesake on the paper. And a lot of people felt like that was shortchanging him on his worth, at the very least, for his name being on a piece of paper and his name being on promotional banners to sell a fight. And so, according to reports, they upped the ante for Kell Brook, but the initial offer was 1.5. And it seems like they're struggling to pay these fighters big money. Once upon a time, they said that Manny Pacquiao, who asked for $20 million to face Terence Crawford, when they were still on the same network and under the same promotional banner, Manny Pacquiao being an 8-division world champion, legendary, iconic boxer, superstar, to say the least. He asked for $20 million, and they told him he was pricing himself out because he was looking to cash out, because he knew that it was a passing of the torch situation, and he wanted to cash out big time for his services. But then Manny Pacquiao begged to differ, because then Manny Pacquiao left Top Rank, ESPN, and HBO, went to PBC, Premier Boxing Champions, Al Heyman, that very same advisor that Bomac is saying that they can't come up with the money because they don't have a promoter. And is reported to have made upwards over $15 million for Adrian Broner fight, who's a 4-division world champion. And then he made the $20 million that he was looking for to face Terence Crawford against, you got it, one former unified WBC, WBA, welterweight world champion superstar boxer, Keith one-time Thurman, who asked Terence Crawford, Bob Arum, and ESPN for $10 million, and he said he was pricing himself out. So they got the money that they were looking for, that being Manny Pacquiao's team. So and on top of it, Manny Pacquiao won those 2 fights against Adrian Broner and Keith Thurman. So was he looking to price himself out? Or was he simply just asking for his worth? And he stood his ground, saying, if I'm gonna step through the ropes of one of the best fighters in the world, you're gonna pay me as such. But they told the world that Manny Pacquiao was pricing himself out. But now we see that wasn't the case at all, because Manny Pacquiao wasn't looking to cash out. Manny Pacquiao didn't feel like it was a passing of the torch fight, because he indeed got the money he was looking for, and then he won the fights against undefeated at the time, Keith one-time Thurman, because that's the only blemish on Keith Thurman's resume. And Keith Thurman, let's not forget, was considered at one point in time the best welterweight in the world, until his inactivity and out of sight, out of mind started to take place, started to unfold. And the injuries started to pile up. That's the only loss on Keith Thurman's resume, is to Manny Pacquiao. So he was widely considered the best welterweight in the world, especially after he defeated Danny Garcia and he defeated Sean Porter. Keith Thurman was seen as the best welterweight in the world. Manny Pacquiao got in the ring with him and defeated him and got the $20 million he was looking for, and then picked up a strap, the WBA strap, while doing so. So this is why people are saying that Terence Crawford had the opportunity to bolster his legacy even further than what it is, his accomplishments. He was undisputed at junior welterweight. He is a 3-division world champion. He is currently the WBO welterweight world champion. Yes, he's accomplished a lot within the sport of boxing, but it leaves the fans and the boxing pundits to desire more, because we see the talent that he possessed. We just need him to get in the ring with a dancing partner. Takes 2 to tango. So when Terence Crawford re-signed with Top Rank, but the welterweight crop, upper echelon, is on the other side of the street, quote unquote, people didn't understand that. Because now Terence Crawford locked himself into a situation where he doesn't have too many viable options on his quote unquote side of the street. And then you're asking 2 massive promoters, 2 massive networks to come together on agreements and get a fight done and get a deal done. Not 1, not 2, maybe 3, 4 times. You're talking about an Errol Spence fight with Terence Crawford. You're talking about a Sean Porter fight with Terence Crawford. You're talking about a possible fight with Keith Thurman and Terence Crawford. Maybe a showdown with Danny Garcia and Terence Crawford. Yordenis Ugas and Terence Crawford. All of these guys are with the PBC. Showtime or Fox. So in order for these fights, for Terence Crawford to get all these legacy fights, these big fights, he must ask 2 massive promoters in Bob Arum and, well, Al Heyman's advisor, and networks, ESPN and Showtime or Fox, to do business multiple times. And get this, you asking them to take a back seat to one another and split the pot. Why would they do so? Why would Fox and Showtime want to split the pot with ESPN and Top Rank when they can have Errol Spence and Danny Garcia competing against one another and keep 100% of the revenue? Obviously, you got to divvy it out to the teams and such. But you don't have to share it with another network and another promoter. So let's see how this all unfolds. But Bob Arum is not a happy camper, and he's trying to work out where BT Sports, Sky Sports, somebody picks it up in the UK to broadcast it, and that way ESPN doesn't have to carry the load financially and, promoting the fight and such. This is what puts Terence Crawford between a rock and a hard place. But that's all I got for y'all, man. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue. Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed? Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.